So move.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Next, I'm looking for an approval of the March 8th, 2022 meeting minutes as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the March 8th minutes.
And I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And next we'll move on to the financial report.
Okay. Looking at the current checking, savings, and investments for the district, checking account with the Tomahawk Community Bank is at $171,586.04. Savings account, the community bank, $221,442.19. And the local government pooled investment, the total of all funds in there is $13,868,927.15. Then if we look at the revenues for the month of March and comparing some of it to, the last year at this time, again, as I've stated, several times before, I think, the budget is right on track as far as what was originally projected. Hopefully there will be some savings, some accounts we're trying not to spend, of course. So there may be some savings there in the end, but as of right now, revenue is basically coming in, as it was last year, percentage-wise. One thing to look at, if you look at under Fund 10 and like received year to date in 21-22, you'll see almost $10 million, and received year to date last year was $12 million. Well, that goes back to the
drop.
revenue, the drop in the revenue, the $3 million that dropped off the revenue last year. So, but again, percentage-wise, if you look at the two percentages from year to year, they're pretty close. Also, if you look at under Fund 20, again, comparing revenue received as of during this year, 21-22, compared to 2021, you'll see quite an increase in this year, but that's because Fund 21 was not in last year's amount, but it is in this year's amount, and that's basically the activity funds that the district has. Also, Fund 50, you'll see quite a difference, like for example, comparing revenue to revenue from year to year. This year it's $652,600. Last year was $413,463. Because there's no charge for lunches this year, this district food service program is actually doing very well in terms of revenue. So when you see those big differences, whether it's Fund 10, 20, or like 50, there are certainly some bigger reasons why there's a difference, but they're all very explainable, of course.
Joe,
Yes.
The change in Fund 20 was
that an accounting,
Yes.
change in the way accounting needs to be done?
Correct.
That the activity funds were put in there?
Yes.
Okay.
Does that reflect ESSER funds too? Is ESSER funds somewhere in there? Would that affect this?
ESSER funds are not, as far as I know, are not in Fund, they wouldn't be in Fund 20, they'd be in Fund 10, I
10.
believe.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so then if we turn to the expenditures, again, if you look at the percentages, like in Fund 10 this year compared to last year, as far as the extent of the budget expended, this year at this time it's 55%. Last year, it was 57% as of this time. So percentage-wise, like I say, same as for revenues, the years are very comparable. There is a difference based upon, having to do with the referendum and the funds falling off of the tax roll in terms of the revenue, but then that also affected expenditures because there wasn't as much spent, I guess, as a result of that. Other than that, I don't know. It's going forward just as, I guess, as was planned. Talking to Sandy, probably within the next couple of weeks or so, she'll be able to project, more accurately how the budget would come out for the end of the year. So over the next couple of meetings, we'll certainly have a more accurate accounting of just where the budget may come out in the end. But
Joe?
Have you had any thoughts about, let's just assume there's $100,000 excess at the end of the year. Are you now already thinking about how we might spend that, or are we going to roll that over into next year? What's your thinking about? I know in previous years, if we've had, say, a $300,000 surplus, we've used it for capital expenditures to, for maintenance related things. So,
and as far as I'm concerned, that's where it would go into the fund balance and then be available for, those building maintenance needs that we've talked about over the last few months.
okay.
Yeah. So that's it as far as a projection of where we're at in terms of revenue and expenses. Is there any questions about that or whatever?
Nope, I have no questions. Next, we'll move on to the review of expenditures from March 9th, 2022 to April 12th, 2022.
Okay, again, just some we want to point out. Sandy and I went through this today, and on the second page, it would be the third one from the bottom. That's an expense for lodging and at the softball team. That was for an away game. That's what that one was for. There's one on the third page, 51,791. It's like the fifth one up. That's a quarterly municipal water and sewer bill. That's a little over $5,000 total. On page 3, the fifth one up from the bottom, 51,805. That's for transportation to the Merrill program for special needs students. That's just the transportation part.
Like for the year or for
No,
a period?
it's just for a period, the
Period.
month, whatever.
Okay.
On the next page, a rather large one, it's again 1, 2, 3, the sixth one up, 51,819. That's for the food service department. That's for the purchase of two ovens. I don't believe they haven't been installed yet, as far as I know, but I believe they are here, and it's just a matter of installing them.
Joe?
Yes.
Looking over the policies, we buy the major capital expenditures, right, for the kitchen?
Yes.
And they buy, I'm gonna say, routine maintenance things out of the fund. Is that an accurate statement?
I don't know, like routine maintenance things like.
Well, I mean, if they have something for $300 that breaks that they use for serving, we don't, as a district, pay for those type of things. Is that your understanding?
I would have to check on
Okay.
that, Dick.
Yeah, I'm not trying to quiz you on it, it's just
Yeah.
that, these are the ovens we talked about a long time ago, way back, they were
Right.
back ordered, as I remember.
And based on, you know, like we talked about revenue as far as the food service goes, I mean, there is gonna be quite a fund balance there, so certainly if the district wanted to purchase additional equipment, because my understanding, you know, it's, a lot of it needs to be replaced.
Yep,
I think there's gonna be money there to do that besides the ovens.
okay.
Dustin had approached us a couple of months ago about that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So if you look at the, I guess, trying to look at page 6, the top of page 6, the second one down, 51,825. That is for the resource officer, expenditures for the resource officer. My understanding is the way it was set up to begin with was a person is actually, you know, paid by the city, but then the district reimburses.
Right.
So that is half of the expenditure for that. If you look at the next page, page 7, be the third one down, 51,842. That's for a new router for the Tech Ed department, and a large portion of that was purchased through the grant. There was like a $25,000 grant that the district received. That Andy had talked about it as we, and if you recall, we had some of our public meetings here. Andy had talked about that. So a large portion of that came from grant funds.
Joe,
Yes.
I've always thought that it would be good if we were able to see, I mean, $50,000 is not a, you know, extravagant expenditure, but it's a major expenditure. And it would be good in the future if we had a little better understanding of as a board, how our technology plan evolves in relationship to, you know, things like grants, I mean, in total as a district, so that we have a little better appreciation for the need for the 50,000. I think it's fabulous that we've spent it, but we've never really seen a technology budget, I don't think, and maybe Dean can shed some light on that as well.
Well, that would be Tech Ed's department. That was a replacement of a wood router they already had.
It's not under Dean, it's under
Be the career and technical
Career
ed
tech.
department.
It's under,
career and tech.
That's career Tech Ed for the high school.
yeah,
So
I
that was
understand that.
That was replacement of our wood router they already had. That was here long before I ever started.
Yeah. I think Andy did a great presentation. You probably weren't around for the community referendum presentations. He had a good presentation there, and that something like that might be
No,
beneficial.
I'm talking about when July 1st comes.
Yeah.
What's our technology budget for the year 21, or 22, 23, 21, 22? What is our technology budget? I mean, what have we planned? Because you do it within the schools, I think. I mean, I think you have an overall budget, but that, you know,
It's
the
not-
dollars
it's-
are coming to you from your own needs, your plan, plus what happens within
No.
each of the departments.
No, it's not divided by the schools. I treat the building as a whole. And
Okay.
I decide what's oldest equipment. I always start with everything needs first. Like next year, we're doing new wireless controllers and our firewall because it won't be supported. So it's kind of a, what is falling out of support, what has to be replaced. You have to start with the network first, because you can have a brand new laptop, but without the network, it's useless. So it's kind of a top-down model of what's most important and what's oldest. You know, Chromebooks only last so many years, so we're on a replacement cycle with things like that. So pretty much between renewals, replacement cycles, it leaves us with certain things we just can't get to, like smart boards. That those kind of fall by the voice side because it's the least important in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, thank you. I mean,
Yeah.
again, it's not a challenge in any way. It's
No,
just a
no.
statement about
Yeah,
about, you know, we know how much Arlen presents at capital expenditures. We're gonna do bleachers for 30,000, we're gonna do, it would be helpful, I think, just to know that the next year the district is gonna spend an estimated $150,000 on technology.
it's actually, in my budget I gave to Sandy, it's all laid out actually. So she could actually just give you the budget I give her.
Just a matter of asking for it, I think, when the board does review the budget, I mean, that can be all picked out of there, of course, and, you know,
Yeah,
Yeah, mine's all laid out in an Excel spreadsheet.
yeah.
okay, thank you.
Okay, so then, on the bottom, towards the bottom of page 8, the third one up, again, for the special education program at Merrill, that's the third quarter tuition for that. So one was previous was a transportation, and then this one is the quarterly tuition for that particular program. Then, looking at page 10, the 5th one down, it's 51,887. There are supplies there for batting cage, and then some different supplies like for softball in general. And all that amount, that 11,000, that was paid for out of either the Booster Club or the softball activities account. So that's how those particular items were paid for. So that would be the only ones that I would have to review with you.
Anybody else have any other questions about the expenditures?
No.
Yep.
I will adjourn the meeting at 5:48.